Well, I haven't done one of these in a while. It might be a little rusty. So we'll call this mutants in the mouth today, since I got you two guys on, and I'm probably the smallest of the two. What do you weigh, Dave?
I'm like 210
All right,
pounds
I'm
now.
180, so I'm just definitely the smallest of here.
I'm I'm atrophying. I don't even know what the gym looks like anymore.
You don't go at all?
I go sometimes. I go like 2, 3 days a week, but I'm recovering from surgery, so I literally had 8 weeks out of the gym completely.
What
He
happened?
does he does CrossFit now. I'm not
Yeah.
He's
I had
practicing his pull-ups.
hip reconstruction.
oof.
Whoa.
Yeah, it turned out
When?
that I've been bone on bone since 26. It's from deep squats actually, because the femoral head, it wasn't smooth. So it was like digging through basically the back of the socket is what they theoretically think happened. But both hips are done. So I have an 85-year-old hip, 33 going on 83.
Are you going to need replacements?
Yeah, probably within the next 5 years or so. They're estimating. I can't go for runs. I can't do anything unless if I want to go straight to the bone.
Damn.
Dude, you know what's crazy? I got my knee's been popping, and then I had to tear my quad, so I got to get an MRI within the next week or two. And they did an X-ray on my knees, and the doctor's like, "Dude, I can't believe I've never had I have zero hip pain and never had any hip pain whatsoever." But he goes, "My doctors have been like after going to them for so long with my shoulders and my issues, they got to know who I am." And he was like, "Man, I know what you do in the gym." And he goes, "It's fucking amazing." He goes, "Your knees are great." And I was like, "Really?" He's like, "Yeah." He goes, "You have plenty of room, no bone on bone, zero arthritis." And he's like, "And I know how much you squatted back in the day." He goes, "I have no idea how your knee, my knees are fucking fine. I just have a huge pop in my right knee when I break parallel, and it's loud. It sounds like somebody's hitting a fucking golf ball off a tee. And I don't know
Yeah.
where it came from. I think it might be something to do with my hamstring, but I'm not sure. But I got to get that checked out. But there's so much to fucking cover. Let's cover your fucking viral posing routine post, Dave.
So I did want to ask you a question. When you responded back to your doctor, did you say anabolics and growth hormone are a hell of a drug?
I say growth hormone's a hell of a drug. This is why my fucking joints are probably good. But I wish if anabolics and growth hormone helped your joints, so many bodybuilders would be in better. Like if they found something that was as good for your muscles, for your tendons, it would be awesome.
Yeah, that'd be
And
money.
you've got growth hormone, BPC 157, TB 500. That's about as close as you can get to
Yeah.
something good for tendons.
Do you really believe in BP? I have BPC and TB sitting in my fridge, brand new, and I'm like, I want to use it, but I have so many different protocols on like what to do, and I stare at it every day, and I'm like, I don't know what to do.
I've played
It just
around.
sits there.
I love it. So I've been using this for over a decade, by the way. I've reattached a few tendons. I blew out my hamstring,
Really?
actually, reattached my hamstring in 7 days, maybe 10 days max. I combined BPC 157, TB 500. I did a front load on the TB 500, did a split dose 3 times per day, and I added in, and this is the most growth hormone I ever did, was like during this 2 weeks down of time, I did 6 IUs of growth hormone in each 3 shots. So it was 18 IUs total to try to heal any defects. It actually repaired a defect in the hamstring that I had from a previous tear. And it like I did a 500-pound squat for multiple reps a month after I did that.
I'm gonna text you what I have, like pictures when we're done, and you can tell me. I'll take it. Is that now? Do you go right into the muscle that it's affected, or do you just because I know it's systemic? So but people say they fucking site inject. I don't know.
I site in, so it depends. Like if it's an injury, I try to go as close to site without irritating it, even if it's like subcutaneous in the area where you're not going directly into it. But I have noticed a significant difference going on site, even though it's an
Really?
amino acid, it's systemic. I just have seen it observationally over and over again that going close to site is a little bit more effective.
Yeah, yeah. I got to give that stuff a try because I've never used it. I tried it once, like 2 years ago, and I put it in my stomach, and I had like a golf ball sized tumor for like a month and a half in my stomach, and it wouldn't go away. So I was just like, I'm done taking this. That was the first and last time I took it. I took it one shot of both, and it blew up in my stomach. Looked gnarly, and I'm like, what the fuck?
Probably a
Like
purity issue.
it was from a Empower.
Oh,
Yeah, it was from a pharmacy. So that didn't make sense to me.
crazy.
A lot of bodybuilding drama.
Yeah.
Let's start off with the dancing poser, Dave. Let's actually, you know what? Let's do this. I'm gonna pull up your post actually.
Hmm.
so everybody can see. You guys can see my screen, right?
Yeah.
Okay. This is a two. I'm on. So my laptop that I use for this is my 2012 MacBook. So the thing runs a little slow. Dave, what's your? It's Dynamite, right?
Yeah, Dynamite, and it should come right up.
I know I follow you. So here we go.
I appreciate that.
How many times I go on here and I'm like, oh, I don't follow you.
Yeah, it happens all the time.
It was which one?
So it was a written post that I did a little bit further down.
This one.
Yep.
This one, right?
Yeah.
So it says it's called a posing routine, not a dancing routine. If you're dancing and that's part of the routine, I can get with it. If you don't hit a single pose, though, well, yeah, the word posing is sang with the routine. Wrong time, wrong place. Express yourself on stage, but it's still bodybuilding. Okay. And you got a lot of backlash for it.
I didn't get, well, people thought I was calling out like Sean T, and that's why I put a note into it and I pinned Will Whitman's comment actually there, because he was like, yeah, I think people think you're referring to Sean T, but we all know that it's not, that actually know what's going on. It was Sean T did a little bit of like dancing and expression on stage originally, which is, I was cool with it, right? Like whatever, it's who he is. And he's,
but that's also men's physique. That's not a routine either.
Exactly. So back double bicep should have been removed from the routine because it's not men's physique, and that's it. But I was cool with it. Then you go down to Brazil and you have a dude that's basically like pole dancing on stage. And it's like, look, like you didn't hit a single pose, like not one pose was hit. How can, that's not a posing routine. That's a dancing routine.
Yeah. I remember the one year when they were actually judging, it was the year I think Kai Green actually beat Cedric at the Arnold.
Yep.
And they made a very big deal about judging the posing routine. I did my best posing routine of all time. It was actually doing Carrie Underwood song. It was awesome. I nailed every fucking pose on beat, like mapped out everything. Ashkenani comes on stage doing this and just hitting shots, and he won the posing round. And I'm like, what? Like he fucking won the posing round? So I think a way to get rid of what that guy did in Brazil, because first of all, I think it's ridiculous. I think it's attention seeking. B, you're not hitting any poses, and C, it's like a clout thing. So I don't really like, if you want to throw in like a couple dance moves, like listen, Melvin Anthony used to fucking do the Matrix shit on stage. Tony Freeman used to do the fucking robot. Ronnie Coleman did splits. Fucking Tricky Jackson would fucking shake it and bake a little bit. Like I'm cool with that, but hit some fucking shots, dude. Like this guy danced around like a jumping bean on stage and did absolutely nothing. I say
choreographed with it, like Kai Green used to do. You know, he'd hit the post, make the muscle move with it. It's like, you know,
and that's not easy to do.
No.
Mm.
So I'm like, score the fucking routines, score them.
And at the end of the day,
too, like you were saying, you can't just score the physique if you're going to score posing routines. You actually got to like score the routine, right? Like, because like that's the problem was when they used to have the posing routines scored. It's like they never scored they scored the physique. Let's be honest, right?
Yes. I don't think they ever scored the routine.
Right.
I think one thing that they could do to kind of fix this as well, and this is a little bit weird off the wall, like you can do a third. So you have prejudging, night show, and you have posing. You don't have to give a first placement to a posing routine. It's so subjective is the issue. Yep. So what you can do is you can give it a score from a 1 to 10. Was it good? Was it bad? Or a 1 to 3, whatever number they want to come up with. So if it's a good routine, you just give them a 10, and then that gets added into the score at the end. And that's how you judge it. This way, there's no subjective discrepancy that this person did a backflip and this person didn't. So this guy gets first place now.
Yeah, I think they do. Don't they do that with fitness? Isn't like a third of their, it's like a third, and a third. It's like a third physique, a third routine.
It's a third for the actual physique, and then it's 2/3 for the routine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Unless they changed it.
Remember that girl that got like second the one year, and she didn't really have much of a physique, and a lot of people were sort of like, "What's going on here?"
Yes. That little. She looked like you almost looked like Filipino, Asian or something. Yeah. I mean, I think the poser routine should be judged.
Why not? Well, here's the thing. At the end of the day, if you were judging that, not only does it make the judge's eye even better for judging routines long term, but so it lifts up the judge's eyes. On top of that, it makes the athletes better. Anything that can force the athletes to continue to get better at their craft and to actually want to practice it is great for the sport, because then it also brings entertainment in. You're going to have people doing the robot on stage again, things like that, like things that have been missing for a long time. We have people in classic that are doing it. We have Terrence Ruffin, we have Rachel Daniels in women's physique, you know, like, so there are some great posers out there now. And I think that it's been revitalized a little bit, but just hitting most musculars over and over again on stage is kind of boring to watch. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
Well, you either have, and you guys could disagree, you either have the bodybuilders that go to shows to watch prejudging, right? Because they know that's where the battle is. Then you have the fans that come to the night show. They come for two reasons: placing and routines. That's what they want to see. And one thing we don't see anymore are guest posers.
Yeah.
When is the last time you guys saw a hyped up guest poser at a show? When? I mean, back when I was coming up, Jay, Ronnie, I think one of the first shows I did, Mike, what the fuck was his name? Became a wrestler. Mike, is it Mike? He was with Muscle Tech, glasses, big white dude. Fuck. He guest posed with jean shorts on. What the fuck is his name? Mike. I think his name was Mike. Now it's going to drive me nuts. Hold on. I'm going to find this.
Well, dude, even like 5 years, dude, I did three or four guest posings. And then like when I was coming up, you did a bunch of guest posings, like Vermont and all the New York shows, and like Sean Clarita. Not even like, it's only like 5 years ago they stopped doing it. I think honestly what happens is I think the promoters just, there's so much money, it costs money to run a show. I don't feel like they want to like give up the money to the guest poser, you know what I mean? Which it's not even that much money. Like I was only getting paid like $1,000. I know you guys are getting paid more, but like it's not even.
I got $3,000 to $5,000 to guest pose. Yeah. I mean, it wasn't a ton of money.
Right. But here's the thing: if you're getting asked to guest pose at a big show, let's say the Pittsburgh Pro, and you're asked to guest pose, and they offer to pay for your flights and they pay for your board, so you can go there for free, and maybe they provide meals or something like that. You know what? You get in front of a live audience and your name out there, and people are going to watch you, and you're probably going to make more sales.
Matt Duval. It wasn't Mike. I didn't find it either. I just popped in my head. Matt Duval. Remember Matt Duval?
Yeah.
I remember seeing Matt guest pose. I even saw Dave Palumbo that guest pose. Jay Cutler guest pose. I'm trying to think of like other big fucking names. I mean, I would see Ramy guest pose. Kai would be a phenomenal guest poser. I mean, people would come to the show just to see the guest posers. I mean, Nasser, fucking all those guys, Branch. You don't see it anymore. I don't understand it.
I feel like the fan base has changed a little bit. Like when I was coming up, we had that like nostalgia crew. Like we wanted to see those people. I feel like I don't know if the fans are like really excited like we were excited to see those guys. You know what I mean? Like we would drive just for the guest posers. Where now I don't know if these kids are really like, you know what I mean, the same kind of fans we were for bodybuilding.
You brought up a good point, Nate. When I was coming up, and that's maybe it's part of the reason why I'm very close to the guys like Charles and Jay and Branch and Kai. I looked up to those guys and went to those guys for advice.
Yeah.
And asked questions.
Yep.
It seems like the newer age bodybuilders seem like they know it all. And they don't put I put every bodybuilder that was older than me on a fucking pedestal. Yeah. And I talked to them and asked them questions. Would you or would you not? Did you or did you ever? Does this sound nuts? Would you try this? Training techniques, different. I feel like the guys nowadays try to find an easier way to do things rather than just utilize hard work.
Well, like we were talking about earlier with these kids, like they want to find who's the coach that has the easiest, softest way that I can do. You know what I mean? And like they don't even care about really getting in shape. They just, oh, well, that guy only has me do 30 minutes of cardio and I get a free meal every week. I'm gonna hire him. You know what I mean? Or like there's no gear involved. It's like this is bodybuilding, bro. Like at then like someone called me an old school bodybuilder and I like took pride in that. You know what I mean? But they tried to think it was an offensive, but like, bro, like I looked up to like Aceto. Those guys, those are the coaches that I want to be like. You know what I mean? Not like sorry, but some of these science-based guys, you know what I mean, that are, we're gonna only do steps, you know, and like this kind of stuff. It's like that's
So
great. You can get in shape like that, but like I don't
Dave
know.
is Jones, and I see Dave Jones, and go ahead, go ahead.
yeah,
Jones didn't
yeah.
say something. He's
So like
Jones.
everyone thinks that there's some magic pill out there, you guys, and the magic pill is yourself. Like you get written, someone gives you a training program, right? Who cares what the training program says? Get 2 hard ass sets on a muscle group per week, bury yourself on them. Get out of the gym and eat some food. Take gear when you're pushing yourself like that and get big. It's not rocket science. There's no amount of multiple grams and grams and grams of gear that's going to magically, you're probably just going to feel like crap running that many grams of gear. In fact, like I can tell you for a fact, anyone that's going to talk about running over 2 grams of gear, they're going to tell you how shitty they felt. And like, if your performance is reducing down because you feel shitty, you know what happens? Your training suffers. You're probably not going to make as much progress over that time. You're putting stress load on your biology, like your actual systems. And then if you're taking growth hormone and you're destroying your cells, you're replicating bad cells over time and things are going to get worse. So I think that that's the hardest thing for people to understand is like they look for the grass is greener on the other side. And instead of just watering that grass and making a garden and making that grass a utopia, they go to this next patch of grass and then they go to a next patch of grass. And every time they do it, the other grass is dead. And that's like a hustler mindset rather than a work hard and continue to build an empire, your own empire. And there is no magic button for that besides stepping in the gym, crushing some heavy weight, eating some food. It's not pretty, but it works.
So 2 things. When I was coming up in bodybuilding, you guys, you know, not that you've seen my house, but I don't have like I have a nice size house. I have 2.5 acres. When I was still competing, when I bought this house in 2016, I did a lot of work to my house and I did it with my own hands and I still do my own yard work. And like, if I had 30 minutes of cardio to do and I went outside and I was mowing the lawn and I was weed whacking my property and picking fucking weeds and chopping wood, it's not a consistent, steady cardio. You're stopping, you're starting, you're getting up, you're sitting down, you're doing. So my argument to that is that's called being an adult doing that stuff. That's not cardio. And people will argue, well, you're burning calories, but you're not burning calories on a consistent basis as you would on a treadmill, as a Stairmaster. That's number one. And you guys can disagree with this as well, because I don't know your training thoughts or principles. I have tried everything. I have tried Meadows. I worked with Charles Glass for years. I worked with John for a while. I did RP, hypertrophy. I wanted to always try everything to say I tried it. The whole 1 top set, 2 top sets, feeder sets, none of that shit existed when I was bodybuilding. It was 3 to 4 sets in exercise, pyramid the weight up. And I was a fan. I was a big Charles Glass fan. And me and Branch being one of my best friends I also wanted to like emulate how he was in the gym. And he was very big with the last set drop set. If you watch any of my videos, my last set was always, if I had 150-pound dumbbells, I went from 150 down to 100, down to 80. And just, I feel like that is missing. And I tell the guys, listen, even now, I did back on Monday and chest yesterday. I did 18 sets of back and 15 sets of chest. I'm 180 pounds. And the guy that I was training with yesterday, he was like, man, you don't really take long rest periods. He goes, I usually take like, 3 minutes in between. And I go, why? I said, if I took 3 minutes in between every set, I could arguably be just as strong as the set before. I said, what impresses me is somebody that does a set, catches their breath within 45 seconds to a minute, and does it again. Like, just like boxing, we do rounds, 2 to 3 minute rounds. I have a minute break. When that buzzer goes off, I better be putting my gloves on and standing in the middle. My coach gets fucking pissed. It's like, you have to be pushing yourself in some way, shape, or form. And a lot of people don't know this either. And Dave, I think you can correct me if I'm wrong. When you're working out with weights, your body burns the same caloric amount for an hour after weight training. When you do cardio, your body only burns half the amount of calories for 30 minutes after. So if you burn 1,000 calories in that hour in the gym, you will burn another 1,000 after, because your body is still in that state of going. When you do cardio, it's 50% less of that. So you actually get more of a cardiovascular effect. with intense weight training with short rest periods than you do on a treadmill or a Stairmaster, which is why I think I never had to do a shit ton of cardio because my rest periods were always, if us three were training, I would go, Nate would go, Dave would go, and our rest period was while the other person was going. And once Dave got done with his set, I was grabbing the bar and I was already under it, ready to go for my next set. Like that was my rest. I didn't sit. Now, if I was doing a deadlift, if I was doing a heavy fucking squat, would I rest longer? Absolutely, because that's a different animal. But in my normal day-to-day, 45 to a minute, I'm going again. And guys just don't do that anymore. And I don't understand why. It's easier, but is it more efficient? Is it more fun? And are you really pushing yourself to a limit of, oh, I trained hard today? And everybody that I see tells me they train hard. And I'm like, example, and I know they're going to watch this, Connor and fucking Nick. I know you guys are going to watch this. I trained with two guys in my gym because I was walking by the front desk. They weren't working, but I overheard them talking about things that I didn't want them to be talking about in the gym. And I pulled them into the back room and I said, listen, I'm not your father, but if you guys are going to talk about gear use in the gym, go out the front door and do it outside, because everything you guys do inside this gym as an employee is a reflection of me. And I don't need people thinking that this is that kind of fucking gym. And I said, but since you guys want to talk about things you take on Tuesday at 3:00, both of you are going to meet me here and we're training fucking legs together. And I said, you guys want to fucking know what it's like to train on gear? I'm going to show you guys what it's like to train on gear. My right hand to God, we did 3 sets of leg curls with 10 rep. It were 15 reps with 10 partials at the end, Meadow special. Yeah. Then we did, Meadows used to do this, 10 reps with one leg with extensions, 10 reps with the other. Then I made the weight heavier and then banged out another 15, right? After 3 sets of extensions and 3 sets of ham curls, 3 sets of leg extensions, the one kid was done for the day. The other kid in the fucking bathroom throwing up. They didn't make it to the squat. They didn't make it to the split squat, and they didn't make it to the belt squat. They didn't even make it to the hard port and I go, that's the difference between you guys and me, and why I get so aggravated at the bodybuilding culture now, because it shouldn't be fucking easy. Everybody shouldn't be able to fucking do it. And the best compliment I ever got in the gym was when I was training with a kid back in my prime. This kid wanted to train legs with me, and he walked in the gym smiling like a ferret. And I go, my man, I know you're excited because you're training with me, but I'm telling you right now, it's not going to be fun today. So like wipe the smile off your face, because you have no idea the fucking rabbit hole you're about to go down with me. And he said the best compliment that anybody's ever said to me. He goes, I wouldn't be able to do this every day. And I go, I don't do legs every day, bro. I said this, I do this on Tuesdays. He goes, no. He goes, I wouldn't be able to train like this. And he goes, I don't know how you can train like this every body part every day and still function. And I go, that's why it's your hobby, my job.
Well, that's what I always held to, like what Dorian used to say, and I even heard Flex Wheeler say it recently, was whatever my workout was before, I'm going to try to one-up that. So you're always trying to push yourself harder than your last workout, and that's how you grow. Honestly, like, hey, I'm 300 pounds because I train my ass off.
And I still can't believe you're 300 fucking pounds, Nate. That's insane.
But that's what these kids are missing now. You know what I mean? Like, they're so worried about the fatigue management and reps in reserve. It's like, whatever happened to just going in there and slaughtering yourself, and then you just recover, you eat, and you sleep, and you know what I mean? Make sure your recovery is managed, but you do it all over again. And it's like you were talking about John. He would always make shit so much harder than it had to be, but that's how he was a monster. And like people that trained with John, Fuad, you know, these Ken Jackson, like these dudes were strong and big and jacked, you know what I mean? Because they weren't worried about fatigue. You think John ever was worried about fatigue? Really? You know what I mean? His training volume was insane. You know,
I'll say that
for sure.
The only time John ever yelled at me is because I squat so deep. He's like, stop squatting so deep. Because I was literally like, my balls would basically touch the ground. It was just natural to me. And he's like, stop squatting so deep. And the only time I ever cussed in the middle of a rep ever was pendulum. It was a pendulum squat in the Arsenal.
You don't curse often?
Huh?
You're not a cursor?
I try not to, because I grew up around cussing a lot. So like I got a bad habit. I was like 12 years old cussing like a sailor. And I was like, so probably not the best thing for middle school. So either way, I'm like in the middle of the pendulum squat. This is the second drop, and all of a sudden I just go, fuck. And like, you can see it on my face on the YouTube channel. They beeped it out because it was just like one of those things. I loved it. I would literally, when I first started lifting, and I was still natural, like I started naturally. We all are supposed to start naturally. Just don't jump on gear. I was 135 pounds when I started, and I was 220 pounds after 3 years of eating as much food as I could and training as hard as I could. Before I'd step foot, and I was going through a lot of shit. I was in a dark period of my life, but I would step foot in the shower, have it on hot, and I would visualize myself squatting 20 pounds over what my goal was for that day every single time. And I'd be pouring sweat. It wasn't even water on me. I was just pouring sweat, and the water was pushing it off. Go to the gym, and I'd usually get 20 to 30 pounds more than I was actually visualizing anyways, over and over again, until eventually like I blew out my hips because like my body couldn't keep up. But but people don't even know how that feels to like train to actual physical failure
the night before because you're thinking about what you have to do the next day, right? Like that's not.
I was going to say, I would get butterflies, like that nervous energy every single day going to the gym. I would have that nervous feeling as like in like, I don't know if you guys ever played a sport, but like football camp or getting ready for a game, you have that like pit in your stomach because it was always like, what the fuck is going to happen today?
Yeah.
It was like that. And if you don't have that feeling, just like I talk about pre-workouts, I tell my clients, if you need a pre-workout to get you motivated in the gym, you're doing the wrong fucking thing. You're doing the wrong fuck. I'm not saying you don't need pre-workout to pick you up every once in a while. I'm not saying everybody has the best days and some people have bad days or they work late nights and they got to get a little fucking perk. I get it. But if you need that high stim pre-workout every fucking day you walk into the gym,
I must have it.
Then I tell them, find something else to fucking do. Because you shouldn't be doing this. If you're not amped up just to step foot in the gym to work out, you picked the wrong fucking thing to do. You shouldn't need. You think football players before every practice and every game are fucking taking shit to get them all fucking? No, they're like, let's fucking go. Like right. It doesn't make sense to me. Also,
go ahead.
No, finish. Go ahead.
I just wanted to shout out your boys, actually, Jose Raymond, who I've seen do pendulums and hack squats like back to back. And I've seen Evan, Chris Tuttle, I love when he talks about it. He went to go train legs with Evan for the first time, and he did a drop set on the hack squat. And he's like, okay, cool, we're moving on, right? And Evan's like, no, we're doing another drop set on the hack squat. Like kids these days would never even like imagine doing that, right? Like
right before this this podcast, I found a picture. I sent this to Evan. Look at this.
Yeah, oh my gosh.
That's so funny.
That's in Dave Palumbo's house in 2007, getting ready for
he was a monster like 20.
Well, we're the same age. I'm 43, so he's 40. So this 2000, so what are we fucking 20 25?
That's wild.
Look at that hairdo. Look at that fucking look
yeah, damn. That's done.
I texted him and I go, he goes, here's the tighter hairlines and fuller faces. And I wrote, yes, sir. I go, I was so much hotter than you. He goes, not then, not now, not ever.
Oh my gosh. So you
dude,
were talking about cardio, by the way. I just want to kind of, so you don't really burn a ton of calories in the gym, right? Now, I will say that like keeping intensity high and taking less breaks, the way that I view cardio and calories burned is distance traveled over a period of time. Now, why I say distance traveled over a period of time is just like we're trying to beat our numbers in the gym, which progressive overload, I didn't know was a thing. It was 3 sets. You try to match every single set, and the final set, complete failure. If you get above those, then you match that in the next week on the reps, or you go up and wait and then make it hard again. But when it comes to cardio, the way that I viewed it, and the most peeled I ever got was with John, like not even close. Like I got peeled with John. It was every single time I stepped foot on that treadmill, I tried to beat the distance. It didn't have to do with the time elapsed. It had to do with the distance. Why? Because that's intensity.
You go a little faster, more steps.
Yep. It forces aerobic capacity change on VO2 max. So you're going to be burning more. So that's really where I've been able to like get people peeled is pass your distance. Don't make me give you more cardio. I don't want to go above 40, 45 minutes, 50 minutes of cardio, or else, you know what? You're just walking on the treadmill by the end of that because there's nothing left to give. Like you think that you can crank it for 60 minutes straight, unless if you're a marathon runner? Absolutely not. You're going to then you can't even bury yourself in the gym later in the day because there's no intensity left.
Yep.
Well, dude, some people are doing such like low intensity cardio that they're getting more cardio because of that. It's like you're doing this to yourself. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're
Like
like this
I
whole
think
like
walking, yeah, I think walking on the treadmill is the most pointless thing in the world. But I think it's absolutely pointless. I think if you're not on a treadmill on a high incline or a stairmaster, I not now it's different. I do the bike, the stairmaster. I have a rower, and I have a treadmill. I do the bike. Some days I do the bike, but when I was competing, it was either high incline treadmill or stairmaster, and 95% of the time it was the stairmaster. It was the hardest form of cardio
well,
that you
people
could
can
do.
say what they want about the Stairmaster, but like when I even just do level 5 or 6, and dude, my heart rate goes to like 130, 140. Like, you know what I mean? It's relatively easy to get that intensity out of there, is why I like the stairs, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it doesn't take a lot, you know.
I'm actually not a fan of the stairs anymore, by the way.
Yeah.
So John was actually the one that
Because of
got
your
me off the
hips.
stairs. Well, no, this is before because
Oh,
I,
okay.
I already tore my labrum by this point. I think no, I tore my labrum right before John passed away. So this
In
is
your hip.
yeah.
Yeah.
So either way, he got me actually off the stairmaster. He's like, don't do the stairmaster. He's like, VO2 max is better on treadmill or elliptical. Just do those. Now the interesting thing is because I was like, there's no way, like it's so hard to get my heart rate elevated. Well, it actually wasn't. So I would adjust the incline and adjust the speed during my session and I'd track my heart rate. So if my heart rate dropped below a 130, I would click the button and force me to adjust to it every single time. And then eventually, like when my legs started to fatigue out, because I did notice my legs were never their best when I did Stairmaster. I don't know if it's because it just starves so much glycogen out of the legs or what, but I would reduce the incline and I'd increase the speed to make up for it, but I'd keep the heart rate elevated. So
Gotcha.
that prep, I never went below a 125 BPM on a treadmill, and I never went above a 136, 137. That was like my kind of range. And that's really hard to do on a treadmill.
What's your resting heart rate? Do you know?
Dude, I have Graves' disease. So,
Oh, yeah, it's high.
but so it can, usually traditionally, like if I'm not having an episode, I'll sit in like the high 50s, low 60s.
Okay.
If not, if I'm having an episode, it could be like 100, right? 140.
What about you, Nate?
Oh, I mean, right now it's probably like 90. But I'm not doing much cardio to be honest. But no, when I'm in like prep, I mean, my resting heart rate's probably like, 80, 75, I would say.
You see, my resting heart rate is about 53 to 55. At night, it goes as low as like 37, 35. And what I found, and especially I'm lighter now. So, I mean,
Yeah.
I've never had high blood pressure. I've never been on a blood pressure med, even though people think like, oh, guy's a fucking maniac. His blood pressure got to be, my blood pressure is 101/70. Like, I don't have high blood pressure. For me to get to a 130, Dave, you have no idea what I have to do. I've been running like the past year. I've been running on it. Running, I maybe get to 140. Like I have to like boxing, I get to 160. Boxing does it because it's fucking intense. It's hard. You're fucking ducking, dodging, throwing punches. But like just doing cardio, it's so hard for me to get my like when I go to get like my cardio stress test and they put you on the treadmill, I'm like 10 minutes in on an incline and I'm like, they're like, you're at 80. And then what happens is they'll get 80, 90, 95. And the weird thing is, if I stay at the same speed, at the same incline, my heart rate actually starts fucking coming down.
Me too.
It's
That was the hard thing. That's why you had to keep cranking it. That's the
Yeah.
hard part about it. Did John ever put you in a weighted vest by any chance?
No.
John put Caroline, my wife, and I in weighted vests if we
Really?
needed it to keep the heart rate elevated. Caroline's a machine though. Like she was like, oh yeah, put 40 pounds on me. I'll go for a walk right now. I'm like, my hips and knees would be done.
Does it make that big of a difference?
Yeah, force.
Really?
Yes, it does. Uh-huh.
What do you guys
Maybe I'll
thoughts
order one of them.
little hit bursts? Like, so I would do this towards the end of my preps. I would do like little sprint, like not sprints, but like on the elliptical maybe. And I just go all out for 20 seconds and then just get my heart rate back up. And I would do that here and there. Like, I don't know what your thoughts are on that, David.
So that's interesting. So Matt, that was a Matt Porter thing, by the way. So it's 40 seconds, 20 seconds, 40 seconds, 20 seconds. That was that was probably the hardest prep I ever did my entire life. But there was some backstory behind that. But either way, does it work? Yes, but the question is does it fatigue you out so much to the point where you're not crushing a 2,000-pound leg press for 20 reps kind of thing? And the answer was usually it takes away from my 1.5 to 2K leg press when I'm crushing it, when I have vertigo and I can't squat anymore.
Yeah.
Now, let me ask you a question. Where do you put, if you have to do cardio and training in the same session, where I'm interested to see where you guys put it? Because I know for me, I never did cardio first. If I had to do both, it was cardio. When my weight training was always prioritized over cardio, always, always. And I see guys now that they do it opposite of me. They'll go in the gym and do 30 minutes of cardio and then train. And I'm like, you're taking so much out of your session, man.
Yeah.
Like,
I would always, let's say if I had one cardio session, I would always, like in prep, I would always do fasted cardio.
me too. But there have been times where I had doubles.
Let's say I had doubles, then I would do, let's say I would only do 60 minutes tops for fasted and no more, no higher than that. And then maybe if I had to do 20 minutes, I would do a post workout.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Yeah. So I was always a post workout, like 100%. I'd give it my all. Plus your heart rate's kind of elevated anyways from the workout. It made it a little bit easier. You didn't have that like 15-minute lag time of getting your heart rate really elevated. So it felt more efficient also. I would just usually make sure to have some EAAs if I had really, because I would eat the air. Like with John, I was eating 70 grams of carbs to get in shape and a half a tablespoon of coconut oil and fish. And that's what I did to get in shape for 2 months. But I felt good, right? So I would do essential amino acids after the workout at the minimum during the workout. And then I'd have a load down right before the cardio, because at least it would stabilize my blood sugar levels if my blood sugar was starting to come down too low, so I could keep the intensity high. So I know that people like speak ill on essential amino acids. I'm sorry, but
why?
It works. I don't know.
I bet you I drink 3 to 4 scoops of EAAs a day. Easy. No questions asked.
Dude, I mean, that's funny that you said that though, Dave. Is like that would happen to me too. Is like even my fasted cardio, my blood sugar would never drop that much where I'm like getting cold sweats. But post workout, dude, that was like the worst. Sometimes I'd be like starting to get drenched and white, and I'm like, oh my god, this sucks. Like, you know what I mean?
Speaking of, I know we're talking about like recovery versus training, and so many people put an emphasis on recovery over intense training. One thing that I've heard a lot of guys starting to do, and I'm not saying it's cheating, and I'm not the guy, and I know this is going to sound ignorant. I never really wanted to learn that much about the drugs because I never wanted to be a guy that got so involved in taking drugs that I looked more at drugs than I looked at my training. So I don't tell people that I know a ton about. I know a lot, because when you take stuff and you do it for 20 years, you just by default become pretty smart with it, right? But like the amount of retatrutide that I'm hearing bodybuilders take is now, and what's great, you guys are gonna laugh. I have a bottle of retatrutide because I heard it helps with your triglycerides and your cholesterol. So I actually just took my first very low dose of retatrutide this morning, just because I want to see what it does to my bloods. I am not trying to lose weight. I am not trying to do any of that shit. However, I am somebody that is looking more at a health perspective now than looking at a bodybuilding perspective. So if something has, I've heard things that it does to your apolipoprotein B. I've heard things that it does to your insulin sensitivity. And I don't have any problems with that, but I'm like, if I can get my, my cholesterol, believe it or not, is my LDL, Dave, is 22.
It's 22.
22 is my my.
Are you on a statin right now?
I'm on Repatha. And
like you don't want your LDL that low.
Trust me. So I went to a new cardiologist, and he actually put in my chart that I'm allergic to statins because of them. I've had 6 muscle tears in my quads since I have retired. So he put me. I was on Repatha, so he put me on it. It's called it's Zetzimine.
Ezetimibe. Ezetimibe is my favorite cholesterol medicine, and I think that most bodybuilders should be on it.
Because I think that has to do with the saturation of the cholesterol and the absorption of it, not necessarily like a direct, because it's not considered a statin.
That's correct.
Right.
Yeah. It helps to basically push the LDL out of the system, break it down and get it out, rather than basically calcifying it in your system and making a long-term issue with the plaque that you already have that is built up. Like statins tend to harden plaque is the major issue with it. So
he says the reason why he wanted me on that, he said my LDL was so low at one point that the nurse called me and said my LDL was through the roof, that it didn't pick up on the blood panel. And I'm like, that was after a year of eating no beef. I was eating strictly bison and fish and and eggs and no other source of protein. And I'm like, ma'am, there's no way. Then the doctor called me back and goes, I'm sorry, the nurse had misinformation. Your LDL is actually so low that it didn't read, and we had to send it out to a specific whatever. My LDL got as low as 13. And he told me that at 22, he goes, with your calcium score, I'd rather you have a significantly low LDL because I'd rather you have that than a higher one. So we're trying to get to the point where I don't need to take this shit because I pay attention a lot. And I know I have to send you an email. I keep forgetting. I'm trying to find a way to get off Repatha and stop taking these things and let my body just kind of do its thing. Because my blood panel is fucking perfect. Perfect. But for some reason, the calcium score, man, just fucks me. It fucking sucks.
Yeah, I really like red rice yeast extract, 600 to 1200 milligrams.
Doesn't that kill your fucking liver too, though? Red rice yeast. I heard it does a number on your liver.
It's like 1/10 the strength of a traditional statin. So
oh, is it really? Okay.
And most statins, not all statins, but most statins are derived from red rice yeast extract. So like, it's actually funny because John actually we're reformulating a lot of the stuff right now that we talk about morphogen nutrition.
Yeah.
And there's red rice yeast extract in Prime. And John actually posted to his channel one time that he was actually taking Prime because it was developed by Ben because his father got diagnosed with heart disease. So he made a supplement for him and his father, actually, is what the backstory behind that was. So, but there's there's ALA also. There's a few good things.
Alpha lipoic acid.
Yep, exactly. Citra bergamot is a really good one. So there's some solid ones out there that are like more Eastern medicine. Even like mega dosages of like nattokinase. There's like one.
I upped mine since we talked. I went from taking 1 to 2 a day, like just like you told me.
Yep. And if you combine natto with red rice yeast extract, it actually is synergistic to break down LDL even further. So
which red rice yeast? I'm going to order on Amazon right now. Which one do you recommend? Is there a brand you recommend?
I mean, I just take Prime, it's in Prime. So there's 600 milligrams in there. Technically, like medically, if you're doing it, it's usually 1200 milligrams is the typical dose. If Life Extension has it, which they probably do, they're pretty solid for third-party testing and stuff. And they're not super expensive.
NutriCost. See, I actually like Now, the brand Now.
Now's great. Yep.
Oh, they have it. So that's not a bad one?
Nope.
Okay, add to cart. Done. I'm all about fucking. I take so many like over the counter like vitamins and minerals now, and people are like, you take so much, and I was like, it's all health, like Arjuna, turmeric, CoQ10, nattokinase, a GDA, beta plant sterols. I take vitamin K, vitamin D, fish oil. Like I enjoy taking that stuff. I think it really does help the overall body because you know it's very hard to get everything. Excuse me, from food, as I'm sure you guys already know. You don't have to be a brain surgeon. But
so
no, go ahead. Go. No, go.
I want to comment on the LDL thing before we lost like sight of it really fast. Mm-hmm. Low LDL, by the way. Obviously we need cholesterol. Cholesterol is like a root for our hormones and several
everything
operate. Yes. So that's the backbone to a lot of it. There is a correlation between very low LDL and actually cancer. Not trying to freak you out, but the statin lowered it. But there is actually a correlation between the two because when you have cancer, it actually starts metabolizing through everything much quicker. So that's actually like, if anyone ever has like super low LDL on labs, they should go for further testing because the correlation is really strong. It's not a causation. It's the saying that you need to go test further just to make sure. And I actually stumbled upon that in a study, and it was like very well documented that for certain cancers, it's like very particular cancers, but that was actually one thing that I thought was unique. I learned that within the last like year and a half or so, actually, about the very low LDL and the correlation there.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. But yours is driven down from a statin. So
yeah. Yeah. So you know what's crazy though? Even my doctor told me, like, you have to be your own doctor these days. He goes, so many of these doctors just don't know like what they're supposed to know. in regards to just like a lot of things. My girl, what's today? Today is Wednesday. Monday, my girl's sitting on my couch and or Sunday night, she's sitting on my couch. She's like, man, my fucking neck is killing me. And I was like, what's wrong? She's like, I don't, she goes, can you look at my neck? I looked at her neck. She looked like, it looked like poison ivy all here. And I was like, that's either poison ivy or shingles. I was like, you might want to go to the doctor. So she goes and she had a swollen lymph node like on her stomach next to her belly button. She goes to urgent care. She had shingles on her neck. They put her on fucking valacyclovir or Valtrex or whatever the fuck it's called. And she had him look at the lymph node on her stomach. The doctor pushed on her stomach, and I guess she was in pain. And the doctor goes, you need to go to the ER right now. And she's like, what? He goes, I think you have something going on with your appendix. Like, you need to go to the doctors like now. And she was like, are you fucking kidding me? Drives to the doctor, to the ER, waits in the ER. And I'm like waiting for her to tell me, like, do you need me to come there? Are you staying over? Am I bringing you clothes? Do you need food? Like, what am I doing here? So then a couple hours later, she goes, they're discharging me. So I'm like, I call her. I'm like, what did they do? She's like, oh, they did a CAT scan. And I'm like, and? She goes, do you really want to know? I'm like, yeah. She goes, I'm full of poop. I was like, what? I go, first of all, I said, I told you I didn't think you needed to go to the ER because if your appendix was something was up with it, you'd be in excruciating fucking pain. And she went and got a colonic. And this is where I was circling to. She went and got a colonic at a place that I would go when I was dieting because closer to a show, at like about 10 weeks out, I'd get a colonic like every 3 weeks just to keep my fucking intestinal tract and my colon fucking functioning. Because people, and I did a live feed today and I was talking about colonics and people were telling me how weird it is that I would go and get scheduled colonics. And I'm like, do you guys not realize that being in the bodybuilding world, whether you're a girl or a guy, eating the abundance of food that we eat alone is significantly unhealthy for us. And what a lot of people don't understand is that when you eat a lot of that protein and the fats and that stuff will stick to your intestinal wall for fucking years. And a lot of problems come because people that have colon cancer don't ever get anything done for their gut health or their colon. And I tell everybody, you should be getting a colonic at least 2 to 3 times a year, just for overall health of your gut, your intestinal tract, and your colon. And people thought I was crazy. And the person that actually told me about colonics that I learned from was, believe it or not, Tony Freeman.
Really?
Yes.
I just saw him 2 months ago or so.
Have you ever gotten a colonic?
I have gotten one colonic done before and I never got it again.
Why?
So the issue,
I can't wait to hear what the problem was because I guarantee I don't go to a place where there's somebody in the room. I go to a place where I make an appointment. It's set up. I go in there. I sit down. I put the little fucking straw thing in my butthole, hit the on button, and I sit there until it's done. And then I don't want anybody coming in the room. I don't want anybody controlling it. I don't need a nurse there with my asshole spread, turning the fucking water on and off. Like, I don't need any of that shit. I'm good. I am good.
No, there's no one in the room. I think you just get it done for pleasure by this point.
Hey, listen, maybe a little.
No, so I got the colonic done. This is actually 2 weeks out from a national show. I think it was maybe 2019 Junior USA's. I was 2 weeks out and I was really backed up. And like Caroline was like, why don't we just get colonic? So I got a colonic. Meanwhile, I had bacterial overgrowth and candida overgrowth alongside leaky gut, and I can trace it back for over a decade because I got food poisoning from Little Caesars Pizza. I was in college, $5.
Who the fuck eats Little? You un-Italian motherfucker.
Look, $5 for a pizza when you're in college.
God.
That's some good eating.
I don't think I've ever had Little Caesars in my life.
Well, I got food poisoning from it. It was an expensive $5 pizza. I'll tell you that much. Ended up in the ER and they ended up running a scan, finding out that I had bacteria in my gut. So they hooked me up to an IV drip, gave me some painkillers, walked me out the door. And then like, sure enough, like I was having issues with digestion my entire bodybuilding career. That's why I had to start figuring out like how to fix a gut, elimination dieting. Then you get into low FODMAPs. Then you learn about how to kill off SIBO, which is small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, then candida, then biofilms, leaky gut. I like the list goes on how to balance out normal bacterial flora, good flora with bad flora. And then you find out that everyone has a different equilibrium. And like colonics for me, it basically emptied it, but it went right back to where it was, which was the issue. So because you also have things like latching onto walls. For instance, like E. coli, the most common strain of E. coli, it has arms, so it latches onto the intestinal walls. That's why, like, for instance, Pepto-Bismol is a medical use case because it coats and it makes it hard for E. coli, because E. coli is a very common one that you get with food poisoning. That's why Pepto is usually leaned into. So I think the biggest reason why I've had success from like a coaching standpoint is because personally I've been through it all before. Like I had to use insulin just to get blood into my intestines because I was so backed up coming out of a show one time with my bacterial overgrowth.
That's crazy.
And like I lost vision. Like I went blurred vision. I was like, oh, my blood glucose has to be over like a 200 right now. I had to do insulin to pull it down, but it got my bowels moving because it's very well documented. It increases blood flow to the intestines. So, long story short is there is a gut to muscle axis way. There is a gut to brain axis way. And a lot of bodybuilders are blasting tren and they're clinically depressed. And it's a perfect storm for just like, take a step back and look at the biology. Like there's enough knowledge out there now and enough doctors that are open to integrative nutrition where they're blending the two of Eastern and Western medicine together. There's amazing information out there now. They're studying gut health over the last decade very heavily with certain strains, what should be, what shouldn't be, if you're born with some strains. And like even some of it comes from like being a natural birth. There's certain bacteria that you get. So if it can be done, then try to do it that way. But
I feel like most people have candida overgrowth in some way, shape, or form.
It's pretty I'd probably say like when I've resolved about 500 cases now over the last 3.5 years or so of bacterial overgrowth, or we'll just call it dysbiosis because not always bacterial overgrowth. And I'd say about 20 to 25% of the cases have candida overgrowth in conjunction with bacterial overgrowth. The issue with candida overgrowth is I find it much harder to kill off than bacteria, much harder. So, and you also have to because it makes it resistant, and it's two different ways that you go about the process. Like for instance, SAC-B helps you allow to kill off the candida when you're doing it. But there's a drug called diflucan or fluconazole, which is extremely liver toxic. So get a glutathione drip afterwards, but it's extremely effective for getting off the candida. But if you have bacterial overgrowth, you basically need to get rid of that first before you blast your liver into an oblivion, because then you make it harder even to get rid of the bacteria. You need to keep detoxification pathways as high as you can. So like TUDCA, NAC, berries, things like that, just to like help push.
I had an overgrowth of the bacteria in my, I think it was large or small intestine, from drinking egg whites. Yeah, back in 2012. Yep. I couldn't keep anything down. Everything I ate was just coming out water. And they put me, they did the test where you got to like, I don't know if I had to drink something, they injected me, and I had to sit in the doctor's office for 3 hours. And every 20 minutes I had to blow into like this syringe with like a bag on it. And then like they could see after a certain amount of time how far down or up the bacteria was in my stomach lining or my intestinal wall. And I was on a 3-week course of antibiotics to get off that. But it wasn't like, I don't know if it was a candida, but they just said I had an overgrowth of bacteria in I think it was large intestine, but I don't know what specific bacteria it was.
Yeah. So when they're doing the breath test, they're testing for hydrogen and methane bacteria. And usually they're testing for H. pylori specifically because it can lead to stomach cancer. So those are the 3 things that they're usually testing for. I don't believe that they're like, you can breath test for candida. I haven't ever heard of it being done. I like GI mapping, which is a functional test. It's not medically accepted yet, because this is the argument in the medical space, is that you have 20 foot of intestines, right? And you have a little piece of the tube that you're squeezing out, and you're only getting some of the bacteria. Plus a lot of the bacteria is going to be bound up in your colon, and your colon, you're not going to get any read in your colon, right? Because it's a poop sample. Now, what we do know is we have a lot of resolutions using GI maps, and whether it's medically accepted or not ever, I don't know. Another test that I think is super important that medically is accepted is urine analysis test. So let's say that you have a bladder infection, then that is something to get tested for, because odds are it'll be like an amoxicillin or something like that they give you, but it depends on the strain, right? So that's
what should people look out for in regards to like what are signs if that people have a candida or an overgrowth of bacteria in their intestines? Like what is something that these bodybuilders or just people in general that are watching this should be on the lookout for in regards to maybe possibly going to get tested if they have any of these side effects?
So most visibly would be, let's say that you're wearing a weightlifting belt and you start getting a rash around the weightlifting belt. That's probably candida. Why? Heat grows fungus, right? So if it's leaking to the skin from the intestines, that's one thing. Rosacea on the skin, for instance, it's usually bacteria, maybe candida, but bacteria, and then it's usually mites feeding off that bacteria. So that's a sign. Another sign is extreme constipation, extreme runs, and going from two different extremes. But constipation is probably the most common one because you start getting these pockets of gas buildup that starts backing you up. And I actually almost went to the ER too because I thought my appendix was about to rupture from a fecal impact, actually. That's how I started going down the rabbit hole. Like I thought it was my kidneys, and then it started wrapping around the front to back on the right side. I was like, I don't know if my appendix is about to rupture or what, but like I was getting like hot sweats and stuff like that. All it was I was backed up with poop.
That was my girlfriend. That was exactly her fucking problem. She had too much poop in her stomach. So I literally called the place and I'm like, I need my girlfriend to go get a colonic like tomorrow. So she went and she's like, I feel so much fucking better. But is H. pylori, doesn't that usually come from like drinking dirty water or like water with certain bacteria in it? That's how I've heard people most of the time getting it, from drinking water.
That's usually parasites. That's the most common thing is water. Now H. pylori, we all have some amount of H. pylori in our system, and people demonize H. pylori, but the truth is like when we're running anabolic steroids and eating all this food, we want some amount of H. pylori in our system because it actually protects us from things like Crohn's, which is something that people don't usually talk about. So it's like if it's active, that's an issue. You need to address it. If it's inactive and it's not super high, then it's fine. Just let it ride because it's probably protecting you a little bit.
Yeah. What as Nate's pounding this, Nate's like, I gotta drink more of my fucking water now.
Well, at least it's from the store. You make me feel better.
Dude, you know what's crazy? I don't know if you guys agree, disagree. I remember when I was coming up, the amount of guys that would drink distilled water, and I'm like, it's so bad for you. Why are you drinking distilled water?
I never got behind that. That was weird.
So many people drink distilled water, and I'm like, you're literally pulling all the minerals out of your body by drinking distilled water. Like, what are you doing? Oh, my coach told me to do it. I'm like, and you're gonna cramp like a motherfucker. You keep drinking distilled water. Like, bad news. Like people that drink the smart water, I'm like, don't buy that. It's fucking trash. Go drink out of a tap if you're gonna fucking buy that shit.
There was some weird stuff back in the day, though. Like,
oh,
well,
you were talking about one. It was like people wouldn't even use toothpaste because of sodium or whatever. Like,
bro, I've heard that was a Jeff Long story.
Oh.
You know that we didn't really hear about bacterial overgrowth back in the day, and it's probably because we had pre-workouts like NO Explode, where it's just like exploding your butthole. That was a free colonoscopy, man. You did one scoop, you call it 15 minutes on the dot, sit on the toilet, blow it up, and then go to the gym. And you were definitely ready for squat day because you're chafing so badly.
What I was about to ask you, David, was like, how come you think now, is it just because of the foods and the water and that? But like, why is there a lot more gut issues in not even just bodybuilding in general? Compared to like maybe 10, 20 years, guys didn't really have these issues, I feel like, or maybe they just didn't know.
Well, I'm going to say this real quick. If you look at nutritional facts from 20, 30 years ago and the ingredients that were in food, they were a lot less ingredients in food than you look at the foods now. And there's a paragraph of like they did something about Gatorade back in the day. Gatorade was like fruit concentrate, water, and like 2 other things. Now, when you drink Gatorade, there's like a fucking novel of shit.
Yeah,
That's in, and I just think it's from all the added shit they put in food. I could be wrong, but if you go over, like when I was in Italy, I had pizza every day. I lost 12 pounds. I was there for 9 days because just the quality of the food that we here in America have is absolute fucking trash.
And I would say that it has to do something with the way that it's getting processed. We have a lot of GMOs over here. Even our organics, it only has to be like 70% organic to be considered organic. So you don't know what other stuff is being added into the mix. Now, there's like macro studies on it doesn't matter. But what we do know is if you look at GMO seed, when cows are grazing versus non-GMO seed, you know who eats the most? The non-GMO seed side. And it's very well documented that that's what farmers, direct farmers, right? Like my wife was in seed sales. So, and she'd see it firsthand, and she'd also get feedback from the sales team. I think it has to do with the processing. I think it has to do with some of the additives. I think it's also the double lies in the dose of everything, right?
Yeah.
So if you're being exposed to it constantly, like if you're drinking diet soda for every single meal, you know what's going to happen? If you have any type of gut issues, you're probably going to notice it pretty quickly. That's why, like, if I pull out artificials from some artificial sweeteners, and I know this is like taboo, like don't pull out artificial sweeteners, it doesn't do anything. Every time I pull out artificial sweeteners 2 weeks out from a show, you start seeing pounds drop off these people. Like I'm talking like 2 to 4, sometimes 6 pounds dropping off them. Now you're manipulating stuff in the show, but sometimes there's no manipulation. You're seeing they're getting tighter and tighter, less fluid retention, all this other stuff. So it's definitely gastrointestinal related.
I had a guy that I was working with years ago. He was going through over 100 packs of Splenda a day. He would put 40 packs of Splenda in his oatmeal in the morning. 40. 40 fucking packs of Splenda. I'm like, dude, what the fuck are you doing? So I had to like gradually reduce them down. 100 packs of Splenda a day. A fucking day.
Crazy.
I'm like, dude, how is your stomach even functioning? Like it's very hard to cut out artificial sweeteners out of everything. Cause like I'm drinking EAAs. It's got artificial sweeteners. You get fucking protein powder. It's got artificial sweeteners. I try to use mostly stevia based stuff. If my creamer, stevia, I put stevia in my coffee. I try, but there's like, I buy the fucking, that probiotic soda that had like the lot was Olipop or whatever it's called. I don't fucking know the name. So I try to be more conscious now, but it's not impossible. It's very hard to cut out all artificial sweeteners if you're a bodybuilder because it's found everywhere.
Some's not going to kill you either. I will say that because stevia is pretty harsh, is what some people have issues with. There is, and we just ran it in the new electrolytes that we're releasing, and we actually decided to go away from artificial sweeteners and switch over to a stevia base. It has a fiber in it called allulose, and it takes some of that bitterness away, so it's actually pretty smooth. We thought it tasted better than even the artificial sweeteners. So I think that a lot of these supplement companies kind of once they get a hand on it, when they figure out how to formulate properly, because it's also ingredients plus this actual flavor equals the outcome. So there's multiple different things. But the stuff was amazing. So we actually decided to go the natural route rather than the artificial route, at least for
Did it make it thicker? Did the allulose make it thicker? Because I know it's a fiber. It sometimes thickens the drink.
It was it felt almost smoother, like on the tongue, if I had to describe it. It wasn't much of a difference, but just a little bit. It didn't feel thicker. It just felt smoother on the back end of it, actually. So I thought it tasted better.
Yeah. Yeah. I use more stevia than anything. I don't put stevia. I don't put Splenda or Equal in anything. If I have to choose between one, because if I can't get stevia, I'm an Equal. I like the blue Equal. I'm just an Equal guy if I got to choose. But for the most part, I just use fucking stevia. I just find it to be easier on my stomach. I don't have gut, but I also don't chew gum. I don't chew gum ever. Because my jaw is just from years of football is fucking. That's why back everybody used to see me always fucking biting something in the gym. That was to stop my fucking jaw from clenching because my jaw would kill me after the gym. Now I just wear a mouthpiece to bed and in the gym. Shout out to Guard Lab. They send me these fucking mouthpieces that are awesome. But one thing I wanted to touch on, I'm not going to throw out names, but I know you guys have probably seen a certain, I'm going to say this too. Be careful, guys that are watching this, of what podcast you guys watch. There are so many fucking assholes out there, and I'm not even going to give the podcast that I'm talking about any credit because I think the guy's just a total jerk off. But be careful of where you guys get your information from and what podcasts you watch and the stuff that's being put out, because there is so much ass backwards stuff that I'm being seen. There are retired, I would even call them legends of bodybuilding, that are bashing the sport of bodybuilding. There are guys that never did anything in bodybuilding and all they do is bash the sport of bodybuilding because they never did good in it. And I saw a podcast where a certain bodybuilder spoke negatively about a judge that I'm actually pretty tight with, and I think is probably one of the honest best judges out there, to be quite frank with you. And the bodybuilder called him out by his name for his placing at a show. And listen, do I think the judges always get it right? No, I absolutely do not. There were shows that I took second in that I go, to this day, I don't think I should have taken second. But if you can argue it and it's close, it's a coin flip. You're being judged by human beings that, regardless of who you are, a judge might like a bigger guy over a peeled guy, or bigger legs over bigger biceps, or conditioning over size. So there's always going to be some bias as a human being. Okay. But if you're competing and you're a bodybuilder, and even if you're retired, one thing my dad taught me growing up, don't ever bite the hand that feeds you. Okay. And to bash a judge because of your placing is got to be one of the single-handedly dumbest fucking moves that you could do in your entire career, because that judge is going to come across you again and he's going to judge you again. And I'm not saying your placing is going to change because of the judge, but you never want to go into a show with judges being pissed off at how you acted on stage or after a show. If you want to complain or throw a fucking fit, get done with the show, grab your shit, go to your fucking hotel room, and fucking motherfuck everybody you want behind closed doors. But be a professional through and through. And that means don't ever fucking talk about the judges. It's just, if you want to say you think the judges got it wrong, or maybe you disagreed, that's one thing. But calling out judges by their name and saying that, oh, this judge doesn't like me, or this judge fucked me, that is just, in my opinion, unprofessional in every way, shape, or form. I don't know if you guys have ever ran into that or seen it, or the podcast that I'm talking about. I'm pretty sure you guys do. But I'm a believer in the IFBB, and the NPC gave us a platform, okay, to compete in. We choose to utilize that platform for whether we're a pro and amateur, whatever the case may be. So don't use the platform that we're given to bash the fucking hand that feeds you. That just really fucking rubbed me the wrong way. I don't know what your guys take on that, as far as talking about judging or judges, or I don't like that. Like, there are guys, even some guys that I follow that have podcasts that never did well as a pro, and they're so goddamn negative. And I'm like, it's just because you weren't good.
Right. Well, first of all, too, it's like, what benefit does that do you? Zero. There's no benefit from you going online and talking badly about a judge. Secondly, it's bodybuilding. You better get used to losing, man. Because the only person that's never really lost was Phil Heath. And other than that, it's like everyone else is taking L's that they're not going to agree with and they're not going to sit well with, because like you said, it's opinion based, and we can always justify why we should win or whatever, you know what I mean? But like, at the end of the day, you should use that as motivation to get better. And that so-called person we're talking about in the off season, let's be realistic. Is he really doing much? I see him going out and having a good time and, sort of living his life. But like Nick and other bodybuilders, they're working their ass off year round. And this so-called individual, let's be honest, I feel like he's sort of just, okay, I'm going to start prep 8 weeks into the show. And it's like, well, bro, if you want to be better and like be undeniable, then go work harder. You know what I mean? Like, really. And the guy that he was talking about, William, was sort of saying the same thing. It's like, just be quiet and get better. You know what I mean? That's all you can really, and that's what Ronnie did too, man. He was getting his butt kicked for years, and he used that as motivation. Like, I'm just gonna go back and work harder.
Remember that clip of Ronnie? He's like, in 2000 or 98, when I took last, I didn't complain. And this, when I took 11th, I didn't complain. When I did this, I didn't complain. And he's like, short and sweet as it is, don't complain. Like, I mean, you said it, you couldn't say it any better, Nate. I mean, I did 40. Let's talk batting average. Okay.
Right.
I did 40 pro shows, 40.
Crazy.
I won 7.
Right.
Do the math.
Right.
People think I was a good bodybuilder because I won 7 pro shows and 7 appearances at the Olympia. I did 40 shows. to get those 7 appearances.
Yeah.
Okay. Like my batting average ain't that good. Now I know there's guys that have done more shows, haven't won that much, have taken, seconds there. I took more seconds than I did firsts. And not one time did I ever go on public fucking forum and say the judges fucked me or this specific judge did me wrong or never. It just wouldn't even cross my fucking brain to do something. It's just stupid. And then I was going to say, and then to have a podcast and actually put it out there, then to me, I'm like, you're just as big of a dirtbag because now you're doing things just to get fucking clicks. And I don't fucking like that. I don't like people that put shit out there to just get fucking clicks because that's all it is. It's fucking clickbaiting motherfuckers into your podcast to get people to watch. And the podcast I'm talking about, that guy doesn't know a fucking goddamn thing about bodybuilding. He's a fucking idiot. And the reason why I'm not mentioning his name is not because I'm scared. I don't want to give him any fucking credit. And I don't want people even watching his stuff because I think he's so bad at hosting. I think he's so bad at asking the right questions. I think he's so bad at the content that he puts out that I don't want people knowing who the fuck it is.
One of my biggest pet peeves is when people use the word politics. Like, I didn't place well because of politics. It's like, you didn't place well because you probably weren't in shape enough is one thing. Or you didn't put enough time in to get big enough to get in better shape, to actually get in shape again. Now, the major issue that I have with it is like, yes, the judges don't always get it right. That's why there are 9 judges on the panel and they drop the standard deviation, which is 2 highest and the 2 lowest to remove the human error. On top of that, the judging panel, you should kind of know who's on the judging panel because there is a subconscious bias. Every single judge, every single human in the world has a subconscious bias. Like, talking shit about a judge, by the way, creates a subconscious bias against yourself automatically by default. Even if you're the best on stage that day, he might not like you because of something that was said and it's wearing on him at a subconscious level. And he likes the other guy a little bit better than you now, So all that it does is hurt you. But to say that we're not humans and that we don't have to agree, like some judges prefer a little bit of more a beautiful structure than they do someone grainy, hard, bone peeled. Some judges prefer a little bit more full. And that's also different for every single division too. There's a slight subconscious bias. So when I peak an athlete, if I have an idea of who the top 2 or 3 judges are going to be on that panel that day, if I know what their kind of subconscious bias is to an extent, one, I'm always going to try to bring the best look with the athlete no matter what, but I will teeter-totter into, this is the judge that's on that panel that day. I think they like fuller and bubblier.
Tweak it a little. You'll tweak it.
Tweak it. Yeah, it's just a minor tweak. It might be a little bit more fluid. It might be a little bit more food. Like whatever it is, it might be a different pump. It might not be pumping like in bikini. It might be like, hey, don't pump up. You're going to get vascular and they're going to hate you for that. Another judge like might be like, all right, a little bit harder. Okay, cool. Get a pump up, right? So those are all things. That's a strategy behind the game, but you have to play the game and understand the game. It doesn't matter about like showing up. Like, no one cares if you showed up. We care if you're the best. That's what we care about.
And then if you have that, if you say, like you were saying that negative thing about, like, if you say a negative thing about a judge, because then what happens is this, knock it off. If it's a close call and you're the douchebag that talks shit and it's between you and the guy that didn't talk shit, from where I sit, if I was judging, let's say I was judging Nate and you, Dave, and Dave, you were talking shit about me. Nate's never said a bad thing. And I'm like, man, this is a coin flip. Ah, man, this is fucking close. Well, Dave's been a fucking douchebag and was running his fucking mouth, and it's very close. And Nate, this guy looks great. He's never said a bad word about me. I think he's a great guy. Well, what do you think I'm going to do? I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to get, if it's that close and it's like a tie, there's got to be a tiebreaker, right? So I'm like, oh, one guy's a jerk off. One guy's nice. I'm going to give it to the guy that's not a jerk off. Like, it's that fucking simple. You I
should have shaved my head, man.
Yeah, right.
Also, to touch on too, it's a little frustrating, like being in this game for, I would say, pretty long now, and you have these.
How old are you, Nate?
I'm 39. Just
okay.
But you have these podcasters that just pop up out of nowhere and they start analyzing bodybuilding shows, and it's like, dude, who are you? And they think they are like these kings of like the sport, and like their voice is so important. It's like, bro, you haven't done anything. And like, they're just like, well, my opinion matters. It's like, bro, honestly, it really doesn't. Like, and they literally make these things to just get views, like you said. And it's like, and they'll be like, oh, so what? It's like, dude, where's your dignity and like morals? Like, you don't really, like, you're not being yourself. You're just being like whatever to get this popularity and these views. It's like sort of cringy, honestly. Like,
Because there's always going to be the group of guys that hate bodybuilding and they have that fucking like that thorn in their side because they didn't do something or they didn't do well. And they're like, I'm going to be the guy that fucking bashes the sport and shows people what the real side of bodybuilding is. And I was watching some guy today talking about, oh, you guys all do this for a plastic trophy. And I'm like, what? A plastic? I did this because I liked to compete because I loved working out. It gave me something to do. And I didn't do it for the money. I did it for the opportunity. The opportunities that being a pro bodybuilder gave me was the reason why I don't have to go to work a 9 to 5 every day and why I don't have to answer to a boss because I am my own boss. That's what bodybuilding gave me. Yeah, the pictures and the muscles were all great back then, but I was making a quarter of the money I was here than I am now because I knew that there was,
it's
yeah,
given us a much better life than what this
yeah,
plastic trophy, but we kept pursuing it. And now we work from home and have our own schedules. We travel the world, like
yep.
amazing life. And it's only by default that that's happened because of our love of the game, right?
Yeah. Speak and you know, I want to say something too because I know this was like huge over social media over the past 2 weeks, and huge shout out to Fuad Abiyad because the bodybuilding world took a hit when Fuad went down, and the reason why I say that is because and I said it, I made a post about Fuad. You guys can check it out whenever you guys want. Um, I would have never been a podcaster if it wasn't Fuad's taught me so much
Right.
about podcasting and how to ask the right questions. And when I opened up my phone on fucking Tuesday, it was either Monday or Tuesday, and I saw that post that his wife made that he went down on his bike. I was in tears and I went into an all-out panic. And I was like, what happened to my fucking friend? And I called Paul within 10 seconds of seeing that. And Paul was in the ER with fucking Fuad. I could hear the beeping in the background. And I was like, this stays between us. I want to know every fucking goddamn detail that happened. Tell me what the fuck happened. And Fuad, obviously they did a podcast yesterday and they put it out. And I knew all that stuff prior to that podcast. But when I heard the shit about his neck and his back and his shoulder and his fucking lung and his collapsed lung and his broken ribs, like I was like, what the fuck, man? Like people look at us in bodybuilding as if we're like these, immortal figures. I mean, Christ, Ronnie was on fucking life support. I don't know if you guys knew that, but Ronnie was on fucking life support a couple days ago. Like he was doing not good at all. And, people look at us as these bodybuilders in the now as these like immortal figures. But man, in the blink of an eye, dude, it could all be gone, man. It can all it took is one wrong turn, one pothole, one crash. And Fuad, thank the Lord, he had a helmet on. And he said it in his podcast because he said if he didn't have his helmet on, he would have been dead. And he used to ride with with no helmet. And by the grace of God, he was okay. Because I don't know where I would be mentally if something happened to that guy. Because I truly, like every one of my close friends, I bumped heads with every one of them. I've gotten in arguments, screaming matches, fuck you matches. But, me and Fuad had that stint where we kind of weren't seeing eye to eye and people thought we hated each other. Not one day went by that I hated that guy. I think he's one of the most genuine people in the bodybuilding world. And I truly think that Fuad helped the trajectory of bodybuilding more than I think he probably realizes it. Because the community that Fuad built with what he brought to bodybuilding, I think goes further than anybody in the sport, the Mr. Olympias included. I think Fuad is a Mr. Olympia in his own way with the community of people he built because people really look forward to RBP and the Bro Chat episodes that we do. And I think that's something to be said about who I think you really saw the impact Fuad had on bodybuilding when he went down. and the community of people that came to like his prayers when we really needed it. So I wanted to say that because I don't know if you guys ever spoke to Fuad or been on his podcast or had communication with him, but he's a genuine motherfucker, that guy.
Well, it's crazy. Like you said, he really set the standard for this format of like 4 or 5, 3 bodybuilders just getting on a podcast and really shooting the shit. And now you see it everywhere. You know what I mean? And like, if you look back, whatever, how many times, like maybe 8 years or whatever, how long he's been doing it for, how he started, it was like really nothing. Like his podcast, just one-on-ones, and then just see how it's grown and what it's done for the sport. Now he's commentating the Arnold. Like he's very, you know what I mean? Like before, like he was a good bodybuilder, but like no one really, it wasn't like they knew his name like they do now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's pretty crazy to see what he's actually done. I don't think he realized like that it would turn into this either, you know? And now it's like people, you know, you take a week off of bro chat and people are like losing their minds, you know what I mean? I just watched it too, just before we started, and I didn't know, man, he was messed up and like talking about being on life support and almost like dying like 3 or 4 times. They had to bring him back to life and you know, putting him on a stretcher on the back of a pickup truck and fly him in on a helicopter. Like, Jesus.
They had to jab him in the chest to get his fucking lung back.
Yeah. Crazy.
Scary shit.
Stuff,
and you used to ride bikes too, right, Nate?
Yeah, back in the day. Yeah, it's scary though. Like, so I know so many people that have died or lost limbs. Like, just
I don't know what he's gonna do, but I pray he never gets it back on a bike, man.
Yeah, it's scary stuff, man.
I was so close to getting a bike. I actually lost my uncle in a biking accident. I'm glad you just brought that up, Guy, because if he wore a normal helmet, not one of those little tiny helmets, he actually would have lived. Like, he would have been perfectly fine, but he actually became vegetated because of it, and then they had to pull him off life support. So, if anyone does ride with the helmet. Don't be stupid. Plus, it's not you, it's the people around you. That's the reason why I was so close to getting a bike. And I was like, you know what? I drive to the gym and back. It's a 5-mile trip there and back max. And I was like, what could go wrong? And I'm like, wait, most accidents happen right next to your house, and it's not me, it's someone else. One bad turn and that's it. Yeah. So I'm glad he's okay. He's an amazing dude. Every single time I've ever met him, one of the most genuine men I've ever met.
I went to college in Connecticut, and believe it or not, the Connecticut law is you don't have to wear a helmet in Connecticut. You do not have to wear a helmet on a bike. And I was on 3 different occasions the first guy to 3 different bike accidents. And the one guy on the accident that I saw, the lady was waving me down on a road. I turned my truck sideways to block off everybody, jumped out of my car, and this guy was laying in the middle of the fucking road. When I tell you, in a pool of blood like I've never seen, and it's etched in. He was all I heard when I got out next to him. This is what his breathing sounded like. It was like, like that's all I heard. And he was just, there was fucking blood everywhere. Call 911. But like when you see things like that, I will never get on a bike. Never. Like I don't have a lot of fears. Getting on a bike scares the fucking living shit out of me. I'll go on roller coasters, none of that shit bothers me. If I was on a bike going 10 miles an hour, I'd be having a fucking heart attack. They scare the shit out of me. So if you guys ride, wear your leathers, wear fucking clothes that cover you, wear your fucking helmet, pay attention. It's not like a car where if you lose control and hit something, you're protected, you got airbags. You go down, you're going down, fucking you're eating pavement. And it's every one of my friends that have a bike, I say prayers for constantly, please just protect them. Please protect them because fuck, it's a scary thing, So you guys are, Nate, I know you're you're up for the weekend for the universe. Dave, you're coming in tomorrow?
Yeah, I'm coming in tomorrow at noon.
Couple clients?
Yep. Classic physique, open, masters, open bodybuilder, and then a bikini athlete that I'm making do transfer over and cross over into wellness. She's muscular enough where I'm like, oh, let's just do it for fun. You're in shape.
I think your classic guy has a chance of winning the whole show after the picture you sent me.
Yeah, he's really good.
He looked fucking crazy. And Nate, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I want him to go down in the history as potentially the leanest national competitor of all time. Was one of our things. I'm gonna bring him in full. Don't worry. He's not gonna be a string bean by any means. I'm feeding this dude. So, but that was our goal going into this is can we be the leanest national competitor of all time potentially?
That's awesome. He's peeled,
I
man.
just got a women's physique girl doing tomorrow, so just one
Yeah.
day.
So you fly back when?
Tomorrow morning, Friday morning. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So maybe
A,
maybe I'll come tomorrow and see you.
yeah, that'd be cool. Yeah, I mean, we'll grab lunch or something or whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
Just even seeing you chat a little bit, that'd be cool.
Yeah, yeah. We'll chop
But
it
yeah,
up.
it's just more like a business trip. Just came up for her and to support her and stuff, and then
Are you
fly.
both staying at the Teaneck Marriott?
I'm at an Airbnb. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah,
kind
I'll
of
be there. But the weirdest thing about the host hotels though is like you can't walk anywhere. If you walk anywhere, you're basically in the hood or something like that.
yeah,
It's
a weird
really
area.
weird.
Well, over there, well, you have main highways all around you, so there's really nowhere to walk.
Yeah.
You know,
I really want them to do that show so badly because like the first year because the first year I did Universe, it was with John and it was 2020 at Universe. So it was down in Charleston. So it was amazing.
Yes.
And then
Yeah,
they moved it back up there. And I would like try to convince clients because I like don't like Jersey. I like New York, but I don't like Jersey. And Teaneck Jersey. Sorry, man. And then Teaneck Jersey, it just gets worse from there. Like you can't even get off the highway systems in Jersey. So my parents are from New York, so I used to go up all the time. And I was just like, man, I was like, if I could think of a location, move it into like New York City or out of the city.
Well, they used to have it in Tribeca, all the shows. Steve's shows were always in Tribeca, like the Mets, the fucking the Bev, the New York Pro was always in the Tribeca, but it would have Steve does such a good job with promoting that he grew out of the venue because it was just overpacked.
Well,
And then the problem is getting into the city. Now you got tolls. Then you got $50 for 2 hours of parking. Then the hotels are through the fucking roof. And it's just like, and nobody wanted to go into the fucking city over the bridges, through the tunnels and tolls. It's a pain in the dick.
That makes sense.
I
mean, the Uber trip is so expensive.
As far as Universe goes, what do you think about, so you guys, I mean, especially you guys, so this is always a common topic every year when Universe pops up. The men's open bodybuilding being drug tested.
It's always been
changing that. I know, but like, why wouldn't he just make an overall winner, maybe a pro card, you know, and not drug? I feel like that would make the show bodybuilding at least more competitive, you know, because it's every year it's like sort of light, right? The men's open bodybuilding.
I feel really bad, by the way, about this. So last year I had a really good 35 and up bodybuilder, and we decided to do open too. We're like, we're good enough. Let's just roll with it, right?
They got their asses chewed out last year.
Yeah, I thought they changed the rules. Well, like I swear to God, I thought they changed the rules for the open like 2-3 years ago. And then Tyler went backstage, and I'm like, oh no. I was like, I'm so sorry.
I heard half the guys didn't even come back because they were like, Tyler was like, we're gonna UA you guys, and like half of them like didn't show up for the finals.
But I've always known that was a drug tested show. I mean, it's not the masters aren't tested. I don't think. I think it's all the open bodybuilding divisions, and it's like I can make an argument for either fucking side, but especially now with like the fit model division and them really trying to like hone in on like the natural side of things, I think it's a good thing. I understand that the competitors aren't going to be as freaky as they are in the regular shows, but I think there's something to be said with people that work just as hard without taking drugs. And I think that the NPC and the IFBB should have a platform for those people. And there isn't a natural national show. And I think that having it does set a little bit more of a standard for people that don't want to go to the dark side. And I have just much respect for natural guys as I do guys that take PEDs, and sometimes more, because like, look at Chris Aceto's son. Kid's fucking 19 years old. He looks like he's on juice and he's as natural as can be. So when people say it can't be done, it fucking can. I mean, Fareed was here for 5 days working out with me. Kid's an animal, you know? So when people say, oh, well, the question is, did you actually push your genetic potential to the limit, or did you cut it short by taking gear because you wanted a faster way to get to the end result? Right. So I don't mind them having one natural national show for the bodybuilders. I think if these guys can turn pro as a natural competitor and then do what they want after, go right ahead. I don't have a problem with it. I do understand what you're saying, Nate, where I think you open up the pool of bodybuilding more when it's not tested. But I do think there is a place for the natural guys too. And I think this is a good show to have it at.
So I'm in agreement. I know I took a lot of heat when I actually defended them coming back out with Fit Model. I'm like, this is what bikini was originally, and this is where it
Yes.
should have kind of stayed to an extent, but it evolved just like all sports do, and that's fine. So they came back out with it. They'll probably come out with like men's beach bod next, if I had a guess. And then I mean, laugh all day. I
Yeah,
think they're going to do it. I mean,
I
why
agree.
not? You're going to get fitness models showing
Yes.
up to a show, and that brings mainstream marketing back into it. It also incentivizes other people outside of bodybuilding to be like, hey, I want to look like Steve Cook because that was the guy
Yes.
that everyone wanted to look like. So I've not, and he was in great shape. He was huge.
Yeah.
And
Look what they do at the Arnold. They do that fucking model, that fit model search, right?
yeah,
Every year they do like a model search. I mean, it's kind of like that, right? Nobody bashes that when it's at the Arnold. They should do those big model searches with the women, and I think the guys too. Like, listen, bodybuilding and fitness isn't just about taking gear and flexing on stage. Fitness and when I talk about bodybuilding and I say the word bodybuilding, I'm talking about the bodybuilders, the men's physique competitors, the bikini competitors, the fitness, the figure, the women's physique, like all the anybody that works out to compete. When I say bodybuilding, they're all in that radius in that realm of bodybuilding to me, right? Because they're building their body to be better and they're competing against individuals. So if I could have done it differently, I mean, maybe I would have been natural for longer. Like who knows, you know? But
I
too many people cut their potential short because they try to rush it. And I think having more natural shows slows down the progression of guys wanting to jump on gear sooner. Because when you have more natural shows, it's, well, I can do these shows that are natural and I go against an even playing field. I don't have to worry about going against the guy that's on trend and test and this and GH and, you know, so I think it's eventually, I think it's a good thing. And I think you're going to see more bodybuilders become better bodybuilders for a longer period of longevity is what you're going to see.
they have some pretty good outlets now for natural too. Some 100% natural NPC shows at the Pittsburgh Pro. They gave
Yep.
out pro cards for natural athletes. They're doing the Ben Wieters natural now. Universe, I'm cool with them now that there is an out actually a track for them to go on even at a pro level. I'm
Yes.
cool with it. I think it makes sense now, which it
Yep.
didn't make sense before. Like if I had an outlet naturally in NPC, knowing I could go against the biggest, baddest guys in the world, and I could have done this naturally for a while, I probably would have stayed natural for a longer period of time because I didn't
Yes.
care if people were enhanced when I stepped on stage the first time. I really didn't care. I didn't have natural in my bio. Most of the best natural lifters do not have natural in their bios. They don't care. The other thing is these dudes usually come in bone peeled, and it's like clearly they're doing something that some other guys are missing out on right now, and that's potentially work ethic.
Yep.
So I think that it builds the fundamentals. It at least allows them to have the ability to not only build the fundamentals, to compete to see if they enjoy it when they're so
Yes.
natural before having to be a detriment to their health, because there is no safe model, by the way, you guys. You're taking high amounts of androgens, it's detrimental. You're aging yourself, period. End of story. So, like, at the end of the day, they have an outlet now, and I'm super all for it. And I will call people out if they are enhanced on a natural stage all day, every day, because I think it's
Ridiculous.
bullshit.
Ridiculous. It's
Well, and that,
absolutely
you
ridiculous.
touched on a good point, David, when we were talking about sort of like running gear and like the whole new sort of methods or whatever. It's like honestly, in my opinion, it's really dependent on what your genetics will allow you to use. Like I've used a good amount of gear, and honestly, I've always had great blood work. I've never had to use blood pressure medications. My CT scan is zero. Like there's guys that can run some stuff, and they actually have amazing blood work. And then there's some guys that run 500 milligrams a test, and their blood work goes to shit. So it really is dependent on their personal, you know what I mean, response, not necessarily like how much am I using, but how much can my body allow me to use
Yes.
properly. You know what I mean?
That was a whole Ronnie Coleman argument, right? Like one of his genetic things was he was resistant against drugs, like getting impacted by them. He lasted a really long time on a lot of gear, and that's straight up genetic dependent.
Yeah.
Kevin Levrone would be completely off of gear, hop on gear for 6 months, and he'd be one of the biggest ones at the Olympia every single year and still make progress. The dude was a freak. And it's like you can't write that. Like there's no magic pill that can do that. So
I'm gonna say this, and then I'm gonna go grab more aminos, and I'll let you guys hash it out. I want to hear what you guys have to say because I'll be able to hear you when I take this off because I can hear when I go out. But one of the biggest outliers, I think, for guys that are unhealthy in bodybuilding now, and why we see a very big um influx of health problems. And people can sit here and say whatever the fuck they want. If, oh, he's full of shit. He didn't. When I was competing after the Olympia or after my year was over, I did HCG, I did Clomid, and I didn't take a fucking thing. I didn't take a fucking cruise dose of TRT. I didn't stay on a cycle. I fucking came completely off, and I came off for a minimum of 12 to 20 weeks every fucking year. Did I lose 5 to 10 pounds? Of course I did. But nobody, and I mean nobody, does that anymore. And I don't understand the fucking reasoning why these guys feel a need to have to fucking cruise. It's like, to me, it's not a, listen, when you get into your 30s, do I see a need to run 150 to 200 megs a test to keep your body in check because you're older? Absolutely, I understand that. But when you're in your fucking late 20s and you start moving into even in your early 30s, you gotta give your fucking body a break. And a break isn't cruising on gear. It's coming off it, being a normalized human being, let your hormones get back to where they should be, letting your fucking, like, I would cut back on my food, I would cut back on my protein intake, I would let my organs rest, I would let my hormones rest. And then when I hop back on, it was like I never took gear before because the fucking instant response to the gear was incredible. But nobody wants to fucking come off anymore. It's wild to me that these guys fight coming off gear.
Not only that, like I'll say this in my defense, I don't really come off, but like after my show, I'll go down to 250 mgs a test, no GH, no insulin. But a lot of these guys, their crews is like 500 tests, 500 Masteron, and
Keep talking. I'm just gonna go to
GH.
drink. I can hear you.
You know what I mean? And they're probably only doing it for like 6 weeks. Like the cruises get shorter and shorter. You know what I mean? Like for me, I won't lie. I like a nice break of injections, honestly, because I hate injecting. So for me, it's more like a break of like, and I hate eating. So after my show, I'll go down to like 4 or 5 meals and just sort of eat intuitively for a little bit, just to give my body a
Mhm.
break and just mentally more or less. And honestly, that's what I feel like why I've been in the game for quite a while and still making continuous progress is because I can take a little bit of a break and give myself that mental, like, okay, I'm just gonna breathe and like do some regular life stuff and not really be so stressed about my bodybuilding career, you know?
Yeah, I think the break from food is a huge one that like a lot of guys just don't do. Like, actually, who cares if you're not eating a caloric surplus? Just eat enough protein where you're maintaining. You're still going to grow. You're probably
Right.
going to get reduction of inflammation in your body. And I don't get the whole 500 to 1 gram of cruising. That's not cruising. That's a cycle. And to be honest, this is the unique thing for me. And it took me a little while to learn this, but when I went down to 200 milligrams of testosterone, I actually feel better at 150 to 120 milligrams per week, probably just
Right.
gives less pressure on my body. But the biggest thing is left ventricle hypertrophy. That's what's going to put guys out. So if they're not taking a break and giving their heart a break to like relax, it's like they're pushing sludge through their system all the time. There isn't nothing that's going to prevent that. Your heart's still having to work harder. So I also like, I would cruise. So in the beginning, I would completely come off. I'd run Clomid. I was too broke to run HCG back then, so I couldn't afford it. I don't even know if I could have found it. And, so, and then all of a sudden, one show, this is my third cycle ever, I went to come off. And when I say I came off, like
Right.
I was running HMG, HCG, Clomid, Novadex, like you name it, like the most hardcore PCT I could ever do. And I can't make this up. Like I didn't think, and I was very single at the time. I didn't think about a woman. I didn't think about anything. I was just like, what
I was
is
very
wrong with me
single.
right? Yeah, like extremely single. Like there was nothing involved. And like, I was like, you know what? I was like, let me see if I can even get aroused, right? Like pull up the internet. And then I was just like, wow, this is really depressing right now. And I was like, exit out. I was like, all right, confirmed. My testosterone's not back online. I was like, it's done. So after that point in time, I actually did stay off until the next competition that I decided to do. I went on some natural T boosters. They did help, but some guys take a year to come back online. I was definitely going to be one of those guys after that time because it was like 6 months or so before I started feeling a little bit normal. I think one of the biggest though advantages to coming down to an actual low dose, like 200 milligrams or below, is due to the fact that it changes the way that you break androgens in general. They change the way that you break down adrenaline. So we become adrenaline junkies when we're on gear. We have to go faster. We have to go harder. We have to train harder, like all this stuff. And whether that's good or not, it just is what it is. And it's at a genomic level. You can't stop it. So when you come back down to a baseline, we need to get in touch with our feminine side too. We need that balance of energy because we need to be able to relate and understand what's going on around us and to be emotionally connected. And we become very emotionally disconnected when we're running cycles nonstop. And I think that that is a massive miss in the bodybuilding community, is that we all have addictive personality types pretty much. We have some type of traumatic event if we were good bodybuilders that drove us to putting a bar on our back and told, like, if we didn't stand back up, we deserve to die that day kind of thing. Like, that's a mentality that you have. And that healing process, you can't do that when you're on a massive amount of androgens. It's just not going to happen. And coming off, and like I've been on 120 milligrams for around 4 years now. And I can tell you right now, my mental processing and the observation of reality around me is so much more clear than when I was cycling on and off nonstop. And I was kind of lucky because I didn't need a lot of gear, and I didn't also run a ton of cycles. And I stopped really early in my, like, because I was so injured, I stopped around like 29 years old bodybuilding. But yeah, that was my thought around it, is like, I do believe that people have to come back down to a baseline so that they can actually look at what reality is around them without ruining all the relationships in their life.
Yeah. Like, I agree. If you need to, like, if you're older, like mid 30s, late 30s, like, absolutely stay on a cruise dose. But I do think these younger guys need to start learning how to come off. Yeah. Like, and the problem is, and it's hard for me to even blame some of the competitors, because a lot of it has to do with the coaching. Yeah. It's their coaches. You know, these guys that think they know what they're doing, that are fucking clueless and are giving bad advice. And it's because these guys don't want to pay extra money to have somebody that's actually well-versed in bodybuilding to tell them what they should and shouldn't be doing. You know, they're paying somebody at the gym that claims to be a bodybuilder or coach bodybuilders, and they're throwing them on all these fucking drugs. And listen, you load anybody up on drugs, they're gonna gain size and muscle, but at what extent and at what consequence are you going to do it at? You know,
well, the name of the game in bodybuilding is how long can you stay in the game for? That's what people forget. Like, are you actually going to make it into your early 40s and peak in your late 30s and early 40s like you're supposed to? Because I can tell you right now, a lot of these bodybuilders are not going to make it that long. And that's the unfortunate thing about it, is like, literally life is a marathon. And if you try to sprint a marathon, you know what happens? You reach the end goal really quickly, and that end goal is your life.
And you hit a wall fast. Yeah. And these guys do just keep doing it, man. And it's sad. And, you know, what I hope people gather from these podcasts that, you know, I do and Fuad does and that we put together is just like, the number one thing you have to pay attention to is your health. Because when you're younger, you don't think about the end game of your life the way you do when you get into your 40s. Like, you know, I think about now being 43. If I live to 80, half of my life is gone. Half of my life is over. I got one foot in a banana peel and one in a casket at this point. So it's like, if you would have asked me back when I was in my 20s, you're going to take 5 or 10 years off your life taking gear, would you do it? Fuck yeah, I'll do it. Fuck. You ask me that now, my answer might be a little different at 43. And I don't think these kids are having these hard conversations with themselves prior to making these decisions. And I tell everybody, unless you've had the internal conversation with yourself to understand that as soon as you start taking gear, you're shaving years off your life. It might be a year, it might be 2 years, who knows? But it is one thing, it's guaranteed that when you start taking steroids, you are absolutely taking years off your life. And if you're not at peace with that, you should not be doing it. Period.
You know, I like the saying, you have 99 problems until you have one, and that's your health. So when you actually, last year, I got diagnosed with Graves' disease. Most people probably don't know that here. And that's essentially where your hyperthyroidism and you just pump out adrenaline. And I was a walking stroke victim for literally basically a year. Most people didn't know that. I kept very quiet about it so that people didn't think it was going to affect my job or my ability to coach. So, which it didn't. I managed I was sharp, but there were days when like I couldn't see straight. I have blood glucose level where I ate a pint of ice cream and my blood sugar level was a 42 2 hours later when I ran my laps. I was
crazy.
So most people would be dead. And if I was on gear, my biggest blessing is I was not on gear when this was going down, or else I would be dead right now. I don't think I would be here. So I was very lucky. And these are also things that like test, don't guess, like get genetic, like if I could take back time, genetic testing is actually not that expensive. Get some genetic testing every year or so, get at least a scan done, whether it's like a CCTA for coronary artery disease, things like that. Calcium score tests, like literally a scan on your heart to see if it's starting to get enlarged, because that can allude to like maybe you have a genetic defect, like Dallas McCarver, for instance, right? He very well knew it, and he continued to go forward, but at least he knew that he had it.
Yeah.
And he could have turned back the time and been like, okay, like I'm done with bodybuilding, because he knew that he had some family issues with that. And I think that those are the important conversations that people need to have. No one's even talking about scans. They're always talking about labs. It's like, how big's your heart? Like your heart is a battery. If we were perfectly healthy in a healthy world, that battery eventually dies out. And that's what we're going to die from in old age, is that heart. And when we're enlarging the heart, and I was just talking with Nate about like pumping sludge through our system, things start to get larger over time. Can't help it.
Yeah. So if there's any takeaway, guys that are watching this podcast, and girls, it's put yourself first, put your health first, and go off of the actual facts that are in front of you. It's don't make it a guessing game, because when you make it a guessing game, you're flirting with a lot of bad shit, and you end up in a situation that you prayed you weren't in. So I know we've been on here for a minute. I didn't want to keep you guys too long. I know you got other shit to do, but we'll keep this going. We'll try to do this every week with you two. I don't know what we'll call it. Maybe we'll call it brains, brawn, and a little bit of bullshit. But I appreciate having you guys on. I will see you both this weekend at the Universe. Steve Weinberger puts on one hell of a fucking show. And for the bodybuilders, make sure you guys aren't taking fucking the gear this weekend. This is a drug tested open bodybuilder show. So if you learn anything from this podcast, is Universe, open bodybuilding, and I think it's classic too, right?
Yeah, classic too. They have everything.
Is tested though.
Oh, classic isn't tested. It's only open bodybuilding.
Okay, so you open bodybuilders that are doing the Universe. I keep want to call it Team Universe because that's what it was called. But the Universe, open bodybuilding, drug tested. So stay clean. Good luck to all the competitors this weekend. Me, Nate, and Dave will be chopping it up at the show. And if you guys see us there, stop us, say what's up. And until next time, everybody, we will see you guys soon back here on the channel. I appreciate having you guys on here, and sorry for the little issues we had getting this podcast up and going prior to, with all the bad luck I was having, but we got it in the books, and we started right around 5, and it's just after 7. So you guys got a good 2-hour podcast to catch up on. So as always, I appreciate you guys, and stay safe out there, will you? And stay off the bikes.
Yeah.
All right, fellas, be good.
All right. See you guys later.
Take care.